What's the best way to identify the right replacement catalytic converter for any vehicle? That's our topic in this video. Installing the correct converter is vital to restoring proper vehicle performance and complying with the law. We're going to show you how to quickly identify the correct Walker converter every time in each of these states. Those following California Air Resources Board or CARB or ARB emissions standards, and those that follow U.S. EPA or federal emissions standards. If your state follows CARB standards, you'll most likely have to install a CARB-Compliant converter. Here's a state-by-state summary of those rules. In Colorado and California, CARB-Compliant units must be used for all model years. Effective January 1, 2023, New York will also require CARB-Compliant units for all model years. In Maine, CARB-Compliant converters must be used on 2001 and newer vehicles that are California or 50-state emissions certified. EPA-compliant converters are legal for vehicles certified only to EPA or federal emissions standards, as well as any vehicles from model years 2000 and older. Now let's review how to find the right Walker converter based on your state's emissions standards. Your first step is to locate the Vehicle Emissions Control Information label. This can be found in one of several places in the engine compartment: on the underside of the hood, on a strut tower, on the air filter housing, along a radiator support or fan shroud, or on the vehicle's firewall. Next, determine if the vehicle is CARB emissions certified. Look for California, CARB, ARB, or 50-state on the label. If it only lists federal or EPA emissions certification, the vehicle is not CARB certified. When looking up a CARB-compliant converter, your next step should be to check the label for the engine family number, or EFN, sometimes called the test group number, and write it down. The engine family number should not be confused with the EVAP family number, which can be in very close proximity to the EFN on the label. Next, we'll look up the correct Walker replacement converter in the Walker catalog. Remember, if you're in California, Colorado, or New York, you must install a CARB-compliant converter. If you're in Maine and the model year is covered under CARB guidelines, you must install a CARB-compliant converter. Therefore, you'll need the following information to look up the correct Walker CalCat converter: year, make, model, engine displacement, and engine family number. If the vehicle is only EPA or federal emissions certified and your state does not follow CARB emissions standards, or if the model year is not covered under your state's CARB guidelines, it is legal to install an EPA-compliant converter. In most cases, you'll simply need year, make, model, and engine displacement to look up the correct Walker EPA-compliant converter in the catalog. In a few cases, there could be multiple EPA-compliant converters that can fit your vehicle based on the emissions certification. In these specific instances, you'll need to use the Vehicle Emissions Certification Information label to determine the correct EPA-compliant converter for your vehicle. Let's review. Step 1. Find the Vehicle Emissions Control Information label in the engine compartment. Step 2. Determine if the vehicle is CARB or EPA federal emissions certified. Step 3. Based on your state's requirements, determine if you need a CARB-compliant or an EPA-compliant converter. Step 4. Look up the correct converter in the Walker catalog. If your state's requirements call for a CARB-compliant converter, you'll need the following information: year, make, model, engine displacement, and engine family number. If you need an EPA-compliant Walker converter, you'll simply need year, make, model, and engine displacement when using the Walker catalog. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can count on Walker to keep you up to date on the latest emissions control requirements. Be sure to visit www.walkerexhaust.com and check out each of our Walker emissions control videos on the Walker Emissions YouTube channel.